Robbie.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman Paul?
Here.
Councilman Fallon?
Here.
Councilman Ondo?
Here.
Councilman Petrucci?
Here.
Councilman Stein?
Here.
Vice President Bonneville?
Here.
President English?
Here. All right, any preliminary announcements?
Yes, Mr. President, if I may.
Go ahead.
I'd like to address an issue that's bothered me from the January 6th meeting and by what was printed in the Valley Mirror on January 23rd. The Munhall Council upholds the 3-minute rule. I'm not in favor of censoring a resident the ability to speak for 3 minutes at an open meeting. Each issue should be considered on an individual basis. We as councilmen are there to work for and have been elected by the residents of Munhall Borough, and I personally don't care what other boroughs do at their meetings. Now, at the January 6th meeting, our solicitor says, well, this borough does that, and this town does this, and they do that. This is Munhall. This is our town. So what West Homestead does, what Homestead does, what West Mifflin does, that's their business. They conduct their meetings the way they see fit. I believe our residents and taxpayers have every right to ask and air their questions and concerns. I've been approached by more than a few residents regarding the decision of no public comments or questions allowed at the workshop meeting. The consensus is that we are creating an unfriendly and hostile environment in our community by not allowing public comments or questions at the meeting, whether we are voting or not. These are the very same people that ask you to look for their support in volunteering for community events. We are a borough of 11,000 plus residents, and their voices should be heard, if even for 3 minutes at a workshop meeting. We need and should welcome collaboration, not only with those sitting at this table, but also with our taxpayers and residents. I ran my campaign, if you remember, and I'm sure that you had them hanging on your door. Our borough, your voice. And because we as councilmen work for the people, we may want to revisit and reconsider allowing our residents to speak for 3 minutes at a meeting, as it is our First Amendment right. Thank you. If anybody else would like to interject, please do.
Well, I'm hoping at times, that 3-minute rule could be waived. Because there are some times it's something important that we had someone speak 15 minutes or even longer at times. Hopefully we don't, if there's an issue that can't be done in 3 minutes, that we do allow the extra time for someone to speak and for everyone to be heard. I know I've waived it a lot of times, and where we went over. I know I went over 3 minutes many times with people.
Well, that's not the case at all, Rob.
Well, I did. I went over many times.
No, you might argue with you, but the ruling is that we're not allowed to have any public input at any meeting, any workshop meeting.
Right.
So that's what you're talking about, I believe. It's not the 3-minute rule, because there is no 3 minutes allowed here. You people are not allowed to ask any questions at all of what we're discussing.
Yes, yes. The 3 minutes is on regular council meeting.
Well, right.
Right, and it wasn't just other boroughs. If you recall, you were on council with me when Dan Lloyd was here, and we ran the 3 minutes. All the time.
Many people always spoke over 3 minutes.
But we ran the 3 minutes. I've seen Dan Lloyd throw about 9 people out of here because they went over 3 minutes. So you was on council when the 3 minutes was effective then.
And
Not just Homestead.
don't point at me.
I'm not pointing.
You are. You're insinuating that I was part of that.
No, you was on council with me.
I was on council.
You don't recall it.
But I do recall.
You don't recall this?
I don't recall us never letting anyone not speak.
You don't recall
I
3 minutes.
recall that
We're talking
very
about the 3 minutes
clearly.
right now.
I'm not talking about the clip 3
Okay,
minutes.
all right.
I'm
Okay.
talking about right now.
All right.
Whatever you guys deliberate on tonight, no one is allowed to speak about it.
Right.
And he disagrees with that.
Okay. And he
I
disagrees with the 3
disagree.
minutes. Okay. All right.
And the 3-minute rule, which Rob brought up, is not tonight. He's talking about
Next
the
week.
council meeting at the next
Exactly.
week. Correct.
Right.
Right. And many a times, Rob allowed many people to speak over 3 minutes, and so did Dan Lloyd. I don't ever remember it being held into a 3-minute click, click, get out of here, you're done, ever.
Okay.
So do I still have the floor?
I guess.
Certainly.
Unless anybody else has anything they'd like to add? So, here's the thing, and I don't know if I'm allowed to do this at that meeting, I mean, this is only my second workshop meeting, but I'd like to make a motion that we allow public comments on discussions during borough workshop meetings and to not enforce the 3-minute public comment.
You can't make.
I don't believe that's enough. You can't make a motion.
Not today.
I think it's the president's
Well-
discretion.
Pardon me,
It's the
Mark?
president's discretion of how, whether he allows comments. Is that true?
At the workshop
Right,
meeting?
yes.
Right.
There's a Robert's rules, the
Yeah,
president,
the
he runs the
president
meeting.
makes the rules.
Well, then it should state that where it says Munhall Council upholds 3-minute rule, because I am part of Munhall Council and I did not have a right to
The
vote on
3-minute
this
rule was never
3-minute rule.
discussed. The 3-minute rule was never discussed. If that's a mistake in the Valley Mirror, I think you should go to the Valley Mirror. What the president said was there was no public comment at work sessions. And that's what it should have said.
Well, I don't know about anybody else, but I took offense to this because it's on the second page of the Valley Mirror and it's pretty bold what it says.
Everything in the Valley Mirror.
Well, you should go to Valley Mayor and complain to them,
Right.
because we didn't put that in.
Wait a minute, Rich, I'm not complaining. All I'm doing is stating a fact of what I believe.
I understand that, but you're reading what's in the Valley Mayor, and that has nothing to do with
And at
us.
that meeting, there was nobody here from the Valley Mirror. They took it from the video, so if it was their mistake of reporting, it's their mistake. They should have to write a retraction. That would be the way to do it.
Okay, so being that I tried to make a motion, am I allowed to make this motion next week at the council meeting?
It's still under the discretion of the president who runs the meetings.
Well, then could I make a motion that what we do is we have a roll call vote to see who is opposed to that and who isn't? Because obviously I am opposed to it. I'm sure you're opposed to it.
You don't get no vote anyhow.
You don't count.
I don't,
You don't get a vote.
I don't count.
My understanding is it's up to your discretion.
Right.
Right.
I'd like to
No
see
sense
that, I'd like you to
taking a
read
That's
that
what I said.
Robert's rules to
It's
me,
his
so I understand that too.
It'd be ridiculous.
I don't know where that comes from, so
Okay.
inform me about that.
I will, I definitely will.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to see it too.
And also, I'm not taking the floor, but you have the floor.
No, I'm done.
Is it in there?
No, you want to look at it?
Not right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I speak on that now?
For me?
Can I speak on this subject now that he brought up?
Sure, I guess, why not?
Okay, good. I think you're misinformed a little bit there, Mr. Ondo, on the topic of the Valley Mirror. And the 3-minute rule, I do believe, if we're gonna talk about the 3-minute rule now,
Okay.
I certainly don't think you're gonna cut someone off when that clock reads and someone's standing up there talking to you and they're not finished with their 3 minutes, or is that your intention to do that as well?
No, no. It's the same thing, we're gonna run the same thing as what we run
Okay.
before
Good.
when there was another council.
So if you sit here and talk about what you're gonna talk about tonight, TKA building, the easement at Troutman, the zoning board, all these things that you sit here and talk about tonight, when are you gonna allow the public to talk about it?
They will next week?
Next week.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, why not let them speak tonight?
If they're gonna say the same things they do next week, what's the point?
What if they can't be here next week?
Send
What if they
somebody
can't
else, send a
make it here
representative.
next week?
You know, they can call any of our council at any time to contact us.
So you're in favor of this as well?
Favor of what? I'm in
Not-
favor of
I'm not
following what the
letting-
president says,
So you are in favor of this?
of what the president says.
Okay.
It's his,
That's.
it's his discretion. I mean, that's.
Oh, I get it. I understand it's completely his discretion.
And the president could make the discretion, if he wanted someone to speak tonight, if somebody asked, they couldn't be here next week, it would be his decision if they wanted to speak or not.
You go to any meeting, and it's always the president's discretion. Any meeting you go to. And that's in the county or out of county.
I've contacted 6 different boroughs in our area, and not one of them allows public comments at work sessions.
I don't care about other boroughs. I don't, maybe you do, but I don't really worry about what other boroughs are doing. I don't worry what other people are doing. I worry about what we're doing.
But the bottom line is, it's the president's discretion.
I'm not arguing that. I'll read Robert's rules later if that's what we're going by.
So then why do we have a council meeting? Why do we have a workshop meeting and invite the public when, what, they sit there like this? Like,
Well,
why do the people show up?
that's the purpose of it.
That's what I thought.
That's the public's discretion whether they want to come or not.
So there you go.
Well, I certainly feel it's the way to just keep the public quiet, not let them speak. That's how I feel about it.
Why is that?
Because he's not letting the public speak. And
Well, you can
obviously
still come to
council
the
is all
meeting.
for that.
They
Pardon
can
me?
still come to the meeting.
Oh, yeah. I know they can. Rich, you spoke here, and they brought up the motion. Let's open up the budget. We'd like to open up our budget. And you said, we can always talk about it. Your words. We can always talk about it. When would we like to talk about it? We can't talk about it now, and we can't talk about it later. So it's a malarkey.
We can talk about it at the regular meeting. What's wrong with that?
Okay. Fine.
That's what the meetings are for.
That's what this meeting is for as well.
This meeting is to set the agenda for next week.
Well, I certainly disagree. This meeting is, the agenda is set, but no one has any public input, and I have a problem with that.
You're always welcome to talk to us after meetings. I'm always willing to talk to people who stay at this workshop, or I return all calls. So you can call me, I'll return a call, I'll answer my phone.
That's okay. That's your discretion, Mr. President. I'm not challenging that, but I'm not happy with your decision, and I told you that privately, and I'm gonna tell you that publicly. I don't feel it's proper. It may be proper by Robert's rules, but it's not proper by the people of Munhall.
Okay.
Okay,
You have more?
I don't. I have other things I want to say, but not on that subject. Go ahead.
Joe, we'll go on. Any other preliminary announcements? Joe, go ahead.
Council items. Next week, we could authorize TKA to move forward. They'll be finishing up their bidding process, or their drawings, and they'll be prepared to bid out the new municipal building. People's Gas easement at Charlton.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes.
Since we're gonna go, are we gonna go line by line, or are you gonna just announce everything and then? Can I ask?
You can ask over there.
Okay, so the TKA bid out of our new building over at the Willis Center. Do we have plans that they're using, that they're gonna bid out on?
That's what they're working on now.
Are we gonna see them before they put them out for bid?
You want to see them before?
I do,
Okay, anything that goes on this agenda today
yes.
is things that talked about, that we could talk about on the agenda and put it on there. The idea behind all this is for me to give you guys the information of what's coming up.
Good.
There's any councilman to take off anything they want on here and delay it, and anything that we put on the agenda next week, they could vote against it. This is just to give the information to council of what's coming down the pike and what's working.
And the people and the mayor.
And the people,
Not
that's
only
it.
am I not ignored here, like I asked you guys before, why don't you have a roll call vote and include me? And include the code enforcement officer, include everyone in here? I've never did get an answer on that. I'm an elected official, I'm here at every meeting, and I come to them. I could be recognized as well.
Only council can vote on roll call motions.
I didn't say anything about a roll call motion.
If you have, what he's talking about, when I get a roll call, and she calls all the time, he was like,
No.
so my thing is, with, beyond, council here, we gotta have a quorum, okay? If you're not here, and he's not here, we're still gonna have a council meeting.
That's not what I asked you.
That's, you wanna be recognized.
When you get it, when our secretary announces, are you here? Are you
Right,
here?
yeah.
Present, present, present. you could recognize the mayor as being here.
Sure, we'll
You
do
could
that.
recognize the code enforcement officer.
I could, but I'm not
We
going
could
to.
we could recognize Officer Williams being here tonight, okay? I am a part of this group. Whether you guys like it or not, I am.
Right.
And I'm not trying to be argumentative about it, but I asked you that
Right.
at the first meeting of the year, you never said a word to me about it. So I'm bringing it up again.
Well, I looked into that, like you looked into things, and I was told I don't have to acknowledge anybody,
It's
just
your
as long as it's
prerogative.
council.
Right.
Right.
So I'm gonna get back to the TKA bid process because, you're authorizing them to, you're talking about authorizing them to put a bid out for the new building. And I certainly would like to see what they're putting out for bid. Because questions arise, just the other day when we took a tour of the building, where's the offices gonna be? When they were here, I asked everyone here, why do we have to walk down a set of flight of steps to go see our general office? We all said, oh, well, they could be moved upstairs.
I don't remember the exact date, but it was a December meeting or November meeting. TKA came in here and gave a presentation to everybody.
He did.
When he looked at this presentation, he came back. I think you met with him multiple times.
I met with him one time afterwards.
Okay. He
And I
came
was
back and
never asked
said,
any other input before he came here that night either.
you might want to talk to the police department.
I'm telling you why.
You might want to talk to the police why you weren't invited.
I was invited.
Oh, you just didn't show up?
I couldn't make that meeting.
Okay.
I have a job too.
I'm just asking. We
No.
can probably reschedule it. 'Cause I didn't meet with the police department. I didn't meet with any of them
Well, that's,
when they did it.
that's okay. They can still do that. I would think that council should look at what you're gonna vote on.
I know that. What
I
I'm
would,
saying
I
is,
would think that the mayor should be informed a little bit on where the offices are gonna be, how it is gonna be set up. The public would like to know as well.
okay, I don't know how to do that. We had the last step to show this is what he's going to come up with, and then we have to go to a bidding process.
We didn't have a last step. Did he meet with every councilman and say, this is what we're gonna do here, these are the plans we're gonna bid out? Did you look at that? Did you look at that? Mr. Petrucci, did you look at that?
No, I didn't.
So we didn't look at it.
Okay.
Mr. Manager, we didn't look at it.
Okay, thank you. If that would, we want to take that off, President, and that's something that we don't want to do, that's fine. The second thing on here, People's Gas easement at Troutman was completed and finished. It was a nice story, I don't think it's going to be such a nice story anymore. Zoning board will vote on that next week. If council is prepared and we're allowed to vote on that, we can vote on the zoning board. We're going to ratify the refuse truck purchase.
Can I ask you a question about the zoning board?
Yes,
How many people have applied for it?
2.
2 people have applied?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Nothing on the gas, people's gas.
Well, I'm curious about, did we talk to the residents there next door and ask them, what they thought about it?
No.
Okay.
Would a gas company, don't they just, they have to do it? They can take over?
They're gonna go to the neighbor's house and put it down. The cute story is, Councilman Ondo came in and we talked about this, and he was part of the meetings when we went through this, and he also lived it in his own property. And he came in and we were talking about it, and I said, he asked about how much we were getting everything, and I said $3,000. And Kevin said, that's pretty good. He said, that's not bad. A couple weeks later, she's asked me where we are with this, and she said, that council okay with everything? I said, well, we have a newer councilman, and that he just questioned the $3,000. And that's all he said, he questioned the $3,000, because he did question the $3,000. In a positive way, he's questioned it. So she came in and we signed the paperwork, she brought in a check for $4,000.
So
That's
instead of-
good.
And instead of 3, we got 4.
That's good.
That is good, so just a one shot.
One shot.
Zoning board, 2 people we have. Any other?
Good. I don't know. I mean, I'm asking.
No, 2
2
people.
people have applied for one
Right.
position.
Exactly.
Mr. Fallon's last position would be filled.
Yes. Back to ratify.
Ratify the refuse truck purchase. And then summer help, we're starting to trickle in some applications, we got to make some decisions.
Can I ask, how does that summer help work? How do you, who do you hire, how do you go through that hiring process?
Well, you hire, usually a council votes on them.
Okay.
Years ago, it used to be another way. This time, we're gonna do what we did for, when you hired full-time back here. We had interviews or names of people that we went over. So most of the work with Bob, when I was on Chair of Public Works, I asked at the end of the year, I would like a piece of paper, every kid that worked for the summer, and know what they were. And some, I ain't mentioned no names, some were, didn't get along with people, don't hire, I wouldn't hire again, blah, blah, blah. So certain ones, that we wanna know. So that now Mr. Petruzzi, Joe, and Bob will go over the names of the kids, and then they'll recommend to council who they think.
How many weeks are we giving the kids this year?
We gotta look at
We have a budget to see,
the budget and see how many they come. And another way to do it is give them 4 days a week at the end if we feel we want to cut something. There's some other options we have. One is cutting down to 4 people, which we think we need 4 kids.
So what do we have currently budgeted for?
I can tell you off the top of my head. But we knew we had to cut 20% off the top of everything, so this is a way to help.
We had 8 last summer. Not all 8 came, but if we cut we could go maybe to 5 or 6 and maybe go 4 and 4. Like they'll work Monday, Tuesday. Only they'll overlap like 2 days.
Maybe the Monday through Thursday job, maybe we don't need them on Fridays because
Well,
there's no pickups on Fridays.
Yeah, but
Either, so.
they'll be able to make a lot of grass. I don't know. It'll be up to Bob, Joe, and Mr. Petruzzi.
Are those positions advertised, or is that just word of mouth, or how do the kids?
You could, what it was with the kids were talking to them, and they were like, are you coming back? And they were coming back.
Okay.
Can we advertise? We could if you want us to advertise.
Oh, no, I just asked if you had in the past.
Did we advertise in the past? We did a long time ago. Then, once we got them, then they said, I'm coming back, I'm coming back.
Okay, very good.
Additional items?
I have several. But anyone else can go first?
No,
I do, I have 2. One was, we go through the banner program every year. There's a lot of things that we have to go through, and we have to participate, and we have to show that we did things. And Becky and I and Carrie, all 3 of us, put a good amount of time in it, and we were awarded the banner program again. I emailed everybody, and you have things in your packets as well. And then today, our emergency management coordinator, Daryl Hunt, and I met at Allegheny County for a hazard mitigation meeting. Very helpful, and we have some work to do with that we'll be working on. There's a few more meetings we have to go throughout the year. Every borough has to do it, it's mandatory. And it's like 3 meetings and then some kind of workshops. That's all I have for the meeting this evening.
As the rec chairman, I went to the rec board meeting last week, and I was asked to ask 2 questions. One was, are we going to do the summer program or not? Because if they are, they think that we need to go out and find the instructors now rather than wait until May to try to find instructors at the last minute. I mean, I personally think we need to make a decision soon if we're going to do the rec program in the summer, the track and field rec program. I personally liked it. I know it's not in the budget at this time. I said we would talk about it.
it was nice, Rob, but you had 6 kids. You had 2 girls down there making $15 an hour, and you had 6 kids.
In other words, I mean, that's what showed up, I know, unfortunately.
We had 8
At
one
times,
time,
it was
6
more than
others.
that signed up, though. But
That's what showed up. So,
Because we had limited to 30, to 30 kids or something like that.
So is there any way that we can, let's start to see how many kids sign up before we make a decision?
We always have people sign up, but nobody shows up.
Yeah, they sign up. The limit signs up almost. I mean, Becky didn't sign up. What,
We
did they,
had a
were we
full
full
30
to sign up last year?
We had a full 30 sign
I
up.
thought we
last
did,
year.
yeah.
when?
Last year.
I thought we
Yeah,
signed
last
up.
year.
We only had
Maybe the program needs changed a little bit, maybe it needs tweaked a little bit to make the program more attractive.
Did the rec board help you at all with that?
No. No, I was getting ready to ask the question, are they gonna take it over?
They're willing
If
to
they
take
approve
it
it,
up
they should
and take it.
Well, that's what I can ask them. We can send them out a little more if they want to take over the program. I mean, but I know their question back to me is it can be financed?
Well, I know you and I even had conversations, days you were off, you looked over there was hardly any kids.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
They
days that I saw.
He didn't really do anything but throw a ball out and let them kick it.
Yeah,
They
play
didn't have
Foursquare.
anything organized, they didn't have
They did
anything.
crafts, they did first crafts, they did.
Well, part of that problem was the late hiring of both. You know, the first year was much more successful. We got in early and we had 2 teachers from Steel Valley that participated. And last year, it got to be May or April, and we hadn't started.
I think it was Memorial Day and we still don't have the instructor.
And I think Becky, because the rec board didn't do anything on that, Becky dumped it on Becky and she had to do everything at the last minute. They really would start now and see what kind of, and put a program together for council to look at and to see if they accept the curriculum that they want to do.
We currently have a 5-member rec board, and I believe they all have, jobs. I don't think any of them I don't know if any of them had the time to, put a program together, but we can ask.
Well, can I email Mike Pavlik, who's president of the board, and see
Sure.
see if he would do that and have it for next month?
Rob?
Yeah, of course we can, yeah, all right, we should. And the other question they had was, they asked about the grant program, and I know I talked to this already, Joe, and I know we have 4 years to put that into the place, or is it 3 years? 4 years, or is it keep doing 4, right? And they just wanted to know what the plans were, they'd like to do that, be involved in that, and then they came up the rec board, I mean, I don't think we should get too big, but they have 5 members now, should we go up to 7? And put 2 members on?
Remember when we first started, we were gonna do so many things,
We had 13 at one time, because, we had 13.
Yeah.
And that was too many though.
They never had no
There were
meeting.
too
They
many.
showed up. I went to every meeting.
There was a couple.
But we never got, like, the regular, Hutch was on the board, with our public works, Parks and Recreation. We never got no minutes from them, or nothing like their meetings they had.
I asked them for minutes when Joe Ballas was gonna be the new, he came on for those 2 years. I asked for the minutes and their, production, their accomplishments, so we can give it to Councilman Ballas at that time, so he could see what was going, so what kind of input he could have and what he could take them from. And I didn't receive any minutes or any accomplishments. I can say that they did come up with the price list for the ball field.
No, I was asked to deliver, ask a couple questions when I went to the meeting, and I wanted to ask those questions.
Mark, do what you said about email, and we'll see what happens, and work with that.
Yeah.
Does the rec board have official meetings, I mean,
No.
scheduled meetings?
Well, they're scheduled monthly. They're scheduled.
Do they have?
First Tuesday?
First Tuesday of every month.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, unless there's I think maybe once or twice they missed the meeting because they only have 5 members on. One meeting, only 2 people could make it. So, the 5 members are having some problems getting a quorum really together right now. That's why I'm asking too, if we should maybe add 2 members onto it. Because of 5, they need 3 there for a quorum.
You had 13, you didn't have.
No,
number
the
4.
13, when they had 13, they were still getting about 7 to 9. At the beginning, they were getting to 9, they were getting about 9 people. Because I was the rec chairman then, and they had people come, and we had 13.
Do you have anybody really interested?
It's up to you.
I think there's a couple people who are interested in it.
Sometimes we can talk about it, but they gotta put more interest in it. They gotta show us where they're gonna have the people, if not, we can't.
I mean, if I get them, if they have a board again, more than the 5 they have now, maybe we can get some life into that program again.
Tell them to get some interest with us, tell them to call us too, if they need some. Don't let them put it on Becky.
Right.
Anything else, Ron?
That's all I have.
I have something. This is just minor.
The reorganization, when we were assigned the committees and commissions and stuff that we're supposed to be on, I was placed on the Veterans and Government Affairs Committee. I had asked, in fact, last week, when I was in your office, Joe, I asked Becky, if there are any guidelines that the newly elected people I could read and say, okay, this is what this is all about. What's this committee all about? Veterans and Government Affairs. What is it? Rich, you've been on it.
The Veterans Committee, usually, if you get put on the Veterans Committee, that means that you go to the veterans meetings that they have when it comes down to Veterans Day. They start having meetings, I guess, in October.
At the high school.
Yeah. So that's part of the committee.
Okay.
So you're on a committee, so you're entitled to go to that meeting and you have a say-so, whatever goes on at that meeting.
And I've been going to the meetings.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to know what that was all about. I thought there were like guidelines that I had to speak with government officials and stuff about.
No.
Okay.
Good.
Now we know, Mark.
I run the program up there, so.
And you do a wonderful job.
Yes, you do.
Well, and another thing is you can take that, as a elected official, you can take that veterans group wherever you want it to go. There's Jim Wehagen. He's the commander up at the VFW. He has meetings at times. You can use him to get information out there. Once in a while, that's who I usually go to because, yeah, and they have a group up there, and there's different types of groups that you can, partner with to show up at their meetings and see what they're doing to make it maybe a bigger group or something. You really can do whatever you want with that group.
Maybe we could do something with the monuments, we do, think something.
Now I know. Thank you.
I think when they put it on the Memorial Day,
Sort
I
of
mean,
ban-
we got involved in
Yes.
it too.
Yes.
Banner
Part of the-
program.
Yeah, right.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Somebody, you might get about it.
The banner program did start through the council. The banner program did start through the council here.
It did?
It did.
The banners on the streets?
Yes. Just to let you know.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it did. It started through me. I was on the Veterans Committee here. Carmen and I talked about it, and we opened it up and invited people to come and get involved in it. That's where it started. Just so you know, Mark.
Well, then they started having their own meetings then, right?
Right.
You up, Mayor?
I'll
You
go.
got any more?
I have several things I want to talk to you all about tonight. And I have a whole list of things that I'd like to talk to you about. So first starting out with, because this is the only time I get to talk to all of you together. So I want to inform you all that the plate readers that we got last year are working phenomenally with our police department. They're very excited using them. I'm going to have some testimony given to me on feedback from the officers. Officer Williams and I have talked about it. I've talked to other officers who are using them. They're more than happy with what we got. We have 2 more budgeted, I believe. I'm going to bring the reports to me, and I'm going to pass them on to you. And then I'm going to ask for 2 more cars to be done, which we already have budgeted in our budget. So that's one thing I wanted to start with. I've gotten complaints about the lights being burned out on Main Street. I've reported them to the police officers. They need to be adjusted or lit. So there's 6 or 7 of them right through the main stretch of Main Street. That needs to be dealt with. I'm going to be having a CPR class here at the Borough of Munhall with MAPS. I've invited MAPS to come and give the general public just the knowledge of how to do a CPR. It's not a class where we're giving them certificates. It's a class of information. If you would happen to be somewhere and someone would need CPR, if you don't know how to do it, you're afraid to do it. So I've spoken with Rich over at Rich McLean over at MAPS, he's more than happy to do it. Roseanne and I are working on some dates. We're looking probably right after Easter to do it, maybe the 21st or 22nd, maybe the Saturday, the 25th. And then maybe I'd like to do it again, maybe in the fall. The second meeting will be discussed.
You're gonna have that for everybody.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Invite the public to come. Have them here, have maps people here, they can talk to people. They have dummies that they set up, they show people how to do things, they explain that there's no liability on your behalf. If someone's laying there and they're dead, so if you're helping them, you're not gonna be held responsible for someone dying. You're there to help them. Officer Williams is probably trained in CPR. We have Officer Abbott, who's a trained instructor. He teaches all our police departments how to do that. I think it's a great thing for our public to take advantage of. If you have the time to do it, it will be good. So that's one thing I'm working on. This cemetery, as you know, we've gotten the cemetery back on its feet. It's starting to sprout. I'm gonna be asking the borough to help out a little bit with the cemetery this year. I'm gonna be asking Homestead Borough to help out. I'm gonna be asking West Homestead and possibly even the school district or West Mifflin. Because all the people were buried in that cemetery from all the towns here.
Don't forget Whitaker too.
Absolutely. So whether it be, we can help in the spring by sending a couple guys out there just to cut grass for a day or two. If each town can give a little bit, it will help us get into the summer mode until we get all our full volunteers coming. And that will make things a lot better as far as the cemetery goes. And obviously we need to look at the legalities of whether we can do that or not, and whether the borough can do that or not. So that's something I want to look into. I think it benefits everyone. Also, I'd like to ask the borough that if we got the TAN loan, is that approved? Do we get the money yet, or when's it coming? What the deal is? Because I'm looking at the budget, the numbers, and we're getting pretty close here on our numbers.
Yeah, we did receive it.
We have it.
We have it.
It's not shown here on our balances, on our balance sheet, so we must have just got it.
January 21st.
Okay. January 21st, no, I don't see it in here. Okay. So that puts our balance at like $1.4 million. Something like that.
No, the balance is like 811,000. No, I'm sorry, 728,000.
Wow. Okay. How much of that do we use of that TAN?
About 800.
We use.
No, about the TAN?
Yeah. Basically, we've been broke then. If we didn't have the TAN, we needed it.
We knew we needed it to
Right.
get through the first quarter.
Okay. Are we going to make it through?
Yeah. But and then, as you know, we'll be meeting the 25th, and we'll be getting our reimbursements by the end of the month as well.
Okay. I'd like just to make the fact that, these are things that could be brought up at our finance meetings, but we don't have them anymore. So we should have finance meetings to let the public know. That's what the finance meetings are for, to let us know what we're doing, where we're going with this stuff. So that's why I asked these questions. I'm certainly willing to help the rec board as well, any way I can. I think, I don't think you can have one person down there watching 3 kids. If they have 3 kids down there, I don't think you have 1 person down there. You need to have 2 people down there watching children, because accusations can be made. One person can turn away for 1 second over here, and another child can be there. You have to have 2 people there. Just to speak on that matter, I think it needs to be a 2-person, 2 people there. Also, I think that this truck ratification that we're talking about next week, I want to talk about that next week as well. I just don't think that the way this is handled, that cuts everyone out of the conversation. Cuts me out of the conversation. You have a phone call vote. I don't even know you're having a vote. I don't even know what you're doing. It's done. Same thing with the removal of the asbestos over there in the building of $100,000, whatever we spent there. That's we'll say $20,000 that was spent. No one knows about how it was, no one discussed it. I don't know anything about it. I didn't have a privy vote to anything to that. I didn't have a word to say about it. Not that it would matter, but it does matter. I'm supposed to be a part of the conversation with you guys and work with you, not it be a secret and not talk to me and walk in and say, well, we're getting a garbage truck. But by the way, it's here. That's not right.
That garbage truck was, we talked about that, remember? We did vote in May about it.
No.
Yes, we did.
I know you did. And I spoke that. I saw the paper. That's not a vote.
Well, okay.
That's not a vote. I disagree 100%. When you ask for specifications on something, you get the specifications and then you vote on it. You vote on the council floor on it. We didn't vote on the council floor to buy a new truck. I'm sorry. We didn't. Maybe you think we did. Maybe you as the president feel you did. I as the mayor don't feel you did.
I feel I did.
Okay. Well, there you go. So I'm going to bring that up again, the truck ratification next week on that, because I think that was handled wrong. Totally wrong. Are our cameras working on Main Street? Are they working up to date now? Are we still playing the game with the electrician?
No.
They're all working now.
They were down for a few days. Comcast put some new equipment in that building, and they didn't plug back in the cameras. They were down, we were notified about it, and they were put back.
So we're back in service now altogether. That's great. I think that's all I have to talk about. So these are things I want you all to think about, because I'm going to come back next week and talk about them again. I'm going to bring information on the plate readers and the cemetery. I want you to certainly think about it, and I'm going to look into it further and talk to the other municipalities as well. So thank you, Council.
Any other additional items?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.